Welcome back to the channel Valuable Coins HD, coin enthusiasts. If you're a fan of rare and valuable coins, you're in for a real treat today. We're about to dive into one of the most sought-after pennies in the world, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny. This little piece of American history may look like just another penny to the casual observer, but for serious collectors, it's a coin that could be worth far more than you might expect. At first glance, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny might not seem particularly special. It's part of the classic Wheat Penny series, a collection of coins that were minted in the United States from 1909 to 1958. While many of these pennies were made in vast quantities, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one that has attracted a significant amount of attention in recent years. What sets it apart from the thousands of other pennies minted around the same time? Let's take a closer look at its design, which is one of the key features that make this coin so desirable. On the obverse, we see the well-known image of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. This image, designed by Victor David Brenner, has been a part of American coinage for over a century. Lincoln's portrait is a symbol of strength and leadership, making this penny not just a piece of currency but a tribute to one of the most revered figures in American history. On the reverse of the coin, you'll find the famous wheat ears design. This iconic design, created by Frank Gasparo, shows two stalks of wheat surrounding the words, E pluribus unum, and 1 cent. It's a simple yet beautiful representation of the country's agricultural roots, and it's one of the most recognized reverse designs on any U.S. coin. But here's where things get interesting. The rarity and value of the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny lie not in its design but in its condition and the errors that some of these coins carry. While many of these pennies were made, finding one in exceptional condition is becoming increasingly difficult. As time has passed, most of these coins have been lost, damaged, or worn down by years of circulation. That's why if you're lucky enough to come across a 1953 penny in mint condition, it could be worth a lot more than its face value. What really drives the value of this penny, though, is the errors that some of them feature. Coin errors can occur during the minting process, and they can turn a common penny into a collector's dream. For the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny, one of the most notable errors is the double die obverse error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned during the minting process, resulting in a coin with doubled lettering or images. For example, you may notice that the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" appear twice or are slightly offset. These double die coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are unique and rare. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be misaligned or off-center. These coins are considered to be one of a kind and can fetch significant sums depending on how extreme the error is. If you're fortunate enough to find a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a noticeable off-center strike, you could have a highly valuable piece on your hands. Now, let's talk about the condition of the coin. As with most coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. A 1953 penny that is in near-perfect, uncirculated condition will command a much higher price than one that has been heavily circulated. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins that show minimal signs of wear and have retained their original shine and sharp details. Coins that have been preserved in mint condition can fetch a significant premium, especially if they come with rare features like the double die or off-center errors. So, what's the value of a 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny? The price can vary greatly depending on the condition of the coin and whether it has any errors or unique features. But if you've got one that's in top-tier condition, or even better, one that has an error, the value can be truly remarkable. A 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny in excellent condition or with a rare error could be worth an incredible $51,000. That's right, $51,000 for a single penny. It's amazing to think that a coin that was once worth just 1 cent could be worth so much today. But that's the world of coin collecting, where rarity, condition, and the smallest details can make a coin skyrocket in value. If you're a collector or just starting to explore the world of numismatics, the 1953 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one coin you'll definitely want to keep an eye out for. You never know when you might stumble upon a valuable one hiding in your change jar or a box of old coins. Today, We're diving into the world of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that may seem like just another penny to the casual eye, but for collectors and investors, it holds immense value. Today, we're going to take you through everything that makes this particular penny so rare, valuable, and highly sought after. If you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned pro, stick around, because the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny could be hiding a small fortune. First, let's set the stage with a bit of history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series was minted in the United States from 1909 all the way through to 1958, and it's one of the most iconic and recognizable coin series in U.S. history. With Abraham Lincoln's portrait adorning the obverse and the reverse featuring two stalks of wheat on either side of the words, 1 cent, the design is simple yet powerful. The wheat penny pays tribute to America's roots in farming, symbolizing prosperity, strength, and patriotism. But why is the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny so special? Well, while there are plenty of these pennies out there, the 1950 minting year marks a particularly interesting time in U.S. coinage. The early 1950s were a period of transition, and many of these coins were produced in substantial quantities, meaning most of them ended up circulating for years. So, if you happen to have a 1950 penny tucked away somewhere, it might seem like it's not worth much. But here's where the plot thickens. The real value of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny lies in its condition and any errors it might have. In the world of numismatics, coin condition is everything. Most pennies from the 1950s were heavily circulated, which means they show wear and tear. Finding a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny in near perfect or mint condition is extremely rare. The coin's sharp details, luster, and overall eye appeal can make a huge difference in its value. Collectors are always searching for coins that show little to no wear, as these are the ones that fetch the highest prices. Now, let's talk about something that can really spike the value of your 1950 penny, the mint errors. Coin errors are incredibly exciting for collectors because they make a coin unique, and sometimes these mistakes can lead to a dramatic increase in value. There are a few errors you'll want to keep your eyes peeled for when it comes to the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny. One of the most coveted errors on a 1950 penny is the double die obverse. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has been misaligned, causing the letters and images on the coin to appear doubled. This means that the word liberty or the phrase, "In God We Trust," might look like it's been stamped twice. Double die coins are highly sought after by collectors because they are rarer, and they're considered misprints that were never meant to be. If you have a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a noticeable double die, you could be sitting on a goldmine. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be misaligned or off-center. These misprints make for an especially unique and valuable coin. If you find a 1950 penny with this error, it's not just a simple mistake, it's a rare, one-of-a-kind piece that could fetch a premium price among collectors. Then there are coins with lamination defects. These are coins where parts of the metal have peeled or flaked off during the minting process, creating a rough or uneven surface. Lamination errors can be very appealing to collectors because they're so rare and can add a sense of character to the coin. If you come across a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a lamination flaw, it could be worth more than you think. But it's not just errors that make the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny valuable. The mintage numbers also play a key role in its worth. While millions of these pennies were made, a smaller number of them were kept in unopened rolls or carefully preserved. Finding an uncirculated 1950 penny in near-perfect condition will significantly increase its value. So, you might be asking, how much is a 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny worth? If your coin is in excellent condition, or even better, if it has a rare error like a double die or off-center strike, the value could be quite astonishing. For a 1950 penny in top condition or with one of these rare errors, it could easily be worth $55,000. Yes, that's right, $55,000 for a single penny. Imagine that. A coin that originally cost just 1 cent is now worth a small fortune. It's truly remarkable how rare coins like the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny can increase in value over time. For those of you just starting your coin collection journey, keep your eyes peeled for these hidden gems. And for all you seasoned collectors out there, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a coin that's absolutely worth looking for, whether you're searching through rolls of pennies or browsing through your local coin shops. Today, we're going to be talking about a coin that could just have a hidden fortune waiting for you, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, what makes it so special? Well, buckle up, because the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny is no ordinary coin. It's not just a piece of US history, it could be worth a whole lot more than you think. To start off, let's take a quick look at the history of the Lincoln Wheat Penny. This coin was first introduced back in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design, featuring Lincoln's portrait on the front and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, quickly became an iconic symbol of American coinage. The series ran from 1909 to 1958, and during that time, hundreds of millions of pennies were produced. But the key to understanding the value of the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny is knowing the rarity and the condition it might be in. 1941, the U.S. Mint produced a staggering number of pennies, about 1 billion of them. So, on the surface, you might think, well, that sounds like a lot, and it's just another penny. But the truth is, what makes this particular penny valuable is not the number produced, but the rarity of certain conditions and the errors that make this coin even more exceptional. If you know what to look for, you could be holding a rare treasure worth a small fortune. First, let's talk about coin condition. In the world of numismatics, condition is everything. Most 1941 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that were minted circulated heavily over the years. They've been through countless hands, been tossed into cash registers, and have seen the wear and tear of time. But finding a 1941 penny in excellent condition, with sharp details, vibrant luster, and minimal wear, is incredibly rare. These well-preserved coins can be worth a lot more than the average penny. So, if you happen to have a mint-condition 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, keep reading because this coin could be worth more than you realize, but that's not all. Some 1941 pennies come with striking errors that make them even rarer and far more valuable. Collectors go wild for error coins, and the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny is no exception. One of the most exciting errors to look for on this coin is the double die error. If you're not familiar with what this means, it's a type of minting mistake where the coin's design is stamped more than once, resulting in doubling of certain details on the coin. For a 1941 penny, this could mean that the word Liberty or the date 1941 appears doubled or blurry, making the coin even more desirable. Double die coins are rare, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for them, as they represent a unique mistake in the minting process. But wait, there's more. Another error that can increase the value of a 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, causing part of the design to be cut off or appear misaligned. This is another misprint that makes a coin much more valuable because it's a one-of-a-kind mistake. If you're lucky enough to find a 1941 penny with an off-center strike, you could have a coin that's worth far more than its face value. Some 1941 pennies also have lamination errors. This happens when a small layer of the coin's surface begins to peel away during the minting process, causing a small flaw or defect in the coin. While it may sound like a minor issue, lamination errors are actually highly prized by collectors who appreciate the rarity and unique character that these flaws add to a coin. If you happen to have a 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a lamination flaw, it could be worth a pretty penny, literally. Now, let's talk about the minting. As we mentioned earlier, 1 billion pennies were minted in 1941, but not all of them were created equal. While there were a large number produced, some coins were better quality than others, making those high-quality examples more desirable and valuable. The 1941 penny was produced at all 3 major U.S. mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but the Philadelphia Mint produced the largest quantity, and many of these coins were made using older, worn-out dies. This means that early strikes from this mint can sometimes show more wear, while coins struck later in the year may have sharper details. So, how much could your 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny be worth? If you have one in excellent condition, with no visible wear and tear, or if it features a rare error such as a double die or off-center strike, you could be sitting on a highly valuable coin. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny can be worth up to $59,500. Yes, you heard that right, $59,500 for a single penny. It's hard to believe that such a common coin could fetch such a large sum, but that's the magic of coin collecting. Rarity and condition make all the difference. If you happen to have one of these rare pennies or have come across one in your collection, be sure to get it properly graded by a reputable service to confirm its condition and potential value. Coins in mint condition or with errors are often worth far more than you might expect, and you could have a small treasure hidden in your collection. So, keep searching through your change and your coin collections, because you never know when you might find that rare gem, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny that could be worth thousands of dollars. Today, we have something special for you, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, right? How special could it be? Well, you'd be surprised because the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny has a story to tell, and that story could be worth far more than its face value. Let's take a moment to appreciate the history behind this coin. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The coin features the portrait of President Lincoln on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse, symbolizing the country's agricultural roots. From 1909 to 1958, these pennies were produced in large numbers, with billions of them striking the American soil. However, what makes the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny stand out is the rarity and unique characteristics that certain specimens can have. While it's true that millions of these pennies were minted, there are certain factors that can make a 1954 penny truly exceptional, factors that could mean your penny is worth much more than just 1 cent. The first factor to keep in mind is coin condition. As with any collectible, the condition of the coin is key. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny is relatively common, but finding one in excellent condition is not so easy. Over time, most of these coins have suffered wear and tear from circulation. The sharpness of the design and the details on the coin tend to fade as it passes through many hands. But, if you're lucky enough to come across a 1954 penny with strong, clear details, and minimal wear, it could be more valuable than you think, but that's not all. There are certain mint errors that can make your 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny incredibly rare, and incredibly valuable. Collectors go wild for coins with minting errors, and the 1954 penny is no exception. One of the most exciting errors to look for is the double die error. A double die coin occurs when the die that stamps the design onto the coin shifts during the minting process, resulting in doubling of letters, numbers, or features on the coin. If you have a 1954 penny with doubling on the date or Liberty, you could have an error coin that's worth a pretty penny. Another error to look for is an off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned in the press, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. Off-center strikes are a type of error that collectors love because they are unique and rare. If you have a 1954 penny with an off-center strike, that could be your ticket to a big payoff. And then there's the die break. A die break occurs when a small crack or chip develops in the die, leaving a blemish or flaw on the coin. If you spot a die break on your 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially if it affects a prominent part of the design, it could make your penny even more valuable. In addition to these errors, it's important to note that the mint marks on the coin can also affect its value. The 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The mint mark can be found on the reverse side of the coin, right below the year. While the Philadelphia Mint did not place a mint mark on the 1954 pennies, the Denver and San Francisco mints did. San Francisco minted coins are generally rarer, so if you have a 1954 penny, it might be worth a bit more. Now, you're probably wondering just how much a 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny could be worth. As with any collectible coin, the value is influenced by factors like condition, rarity, and errors. If you have a 1954 penny in mint condition or with one of the rare minting errors mentioned earlier, you could have a coin that's worth far more than you might expect. In fact, some of these pennies have sold for as much as $53,000. That's right, $53,000 for a single 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny. It may sound unbelievable, but that's the power of rarity and condition in the world of coin collecting. So, next time you find yourself flipping through your change jar or sifting through your collection, take a closer look at your 1954 pennies. It might just be a rare treasure in disguise. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, remember that coins like the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny hold incredible value not just because of their age, but because of the unique qualities they might possess. Always be on the lookout for well-preserved examples, minting errors, and coins that are part of a limited population. And who knows? You could have a rare gem in your hands that could fetch a pretty penny. Today's discovery might just blow your mind. We're diving deep into one of the most coveted pennies in the world, the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny may seem like just another old coin, but don't be fooled. This humble penny has a rich history and several key factors that make it extraordinarily rare and incredibly valuable. So, if you're a serious collector or someone who just loves a good coin story, this one is for you. Let's take a trip back in time to 1917. The United States was in the midst of World War I, and the world was experiencing significant social and economic change. That year marked the continuation of the Lincoln Wheat series, which had been in circulation since 1909. The penny itself features the iconic design of Abraham Lincoln, which was created by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, you have two stalks of wheat surrounding the words, E pluribus unum, a symbol of the nation's agricultural heritage. Now, why is the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny so valuable? The main reason is that, despite being minted over a century ago, this penny is considered to be exceptionally rare, especially in higher grades of condition. The 1917 penny is one of those coins that's often overlooked by casual collectors, but those who know what to look for understand its worth. One of the key factors that make the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny so valuable is its limited mintage. While many pennies were produced in large numbers, the 1917 penny was not as widely circulated, meaning that fewer examples exist in excellent condition. If you're lucky enough to have one of these pennies in near mint or mint condition, you may have just struck gold. But let's be clear, coins in low grades or poor condition are not worth as much. However, a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny in good or excellent condition can fetch an impressive price. Another factor that adds to the value of this coin is its error varieties. Now, error coins are incredibly sought after by collectors, and the 1917 penny is no exception. There are a couple of key minting errors that could make your penny worth much more than you think. The most common error for the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the double die obverse, which occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts or misaligns during production. This error causes the details on the coin to appear doubled, especially in areas like the date and the word Liberty on the obverse side. If you happen to own a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny with this type of double die error, you could be holding a coin that's worth significantly more than the typical 1917 penny. These coins are highly collectible and have been known to sell for astronomical prices in auction. Of course, the quality of the coin plays a huge role in its value. The better the condition, the higher the price. There's also the possibility of the 1917 penny having an off-center strike, another type of mint error. This happens when the penny is not aligned properly during the minting process, causing part of the coin's design to be cut off. Off-center strikes are considered highly collectible, and a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny with this error could be worth a lot more than its face value. Now, let's talk about the most important aspect: condition. As with any coin, the better the condition, the more money it can command in the marketplace. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state. A 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny in mint state, with sharp, crisp details and no signs of wear, is a coin that collectors will pay a premium for. These are the coins that can fetch prices in the thousands and beyond, but here's the big question: how much is the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny actually worth? If you have one of these rare coins in exceptional condition, or with one of those minting errors, it could be worth a small fortune. In fact, some 1917 Lincoln Wheat Pennies have been known to fetch prices as high as $84,000 when sold at auction. That's right, $84,000 for a single penny. It's mind-blowing, but it's true. So, the next time you're going through your change jar, sifting through a pile of coins, or perhaps going through a box of your old pennies, be sure to take a second look at any 1917 Lincoln Wheat Pennies you come across. You might just have a hidden gem in your hands. Whether it's a double die, off-center strike, or a coin in exceptional condition, you could be holding a penny that's worth far more than its face value. To sum it up, the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny is not just another old coin. It's a piece of history, and if you're lucky enough to own one in great condition or with a minting error, you could be sitting on a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. So keep your eyes peeled and your magnifying glass handy, because that 1917 penny could be your ticket to a life-changing discovery. Today, we're diving into a penny that has earned its place in the hearts of collectors everywhere, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. You might think that a penny, especially one from the 1950s, wouldn't hold much value, but trust me, this one has a fascinating backstory, and it's more than just pocket change. In fact, if you happen to have one in your collection in great condition or with a special error, you might just be holding onto a rare treasure that could be worth an impressive amount of money. So, let's go back to 1957, a time when Elvis Presley was shaking up the music world, and Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, which had been in circulation since 1909, was already a well-known staple of American currency. On the obverse side, we still see Abraham Lincoln, immortalized in bronze, facing right. This iconic design, created by Victor David Brenner, would become a symbol of American legacy for decades to come. Now, you may be wondering, why is this 1957 penny considered special? Well, the first factor we have to discuss is the rarity. While millions of these pennies were minted in 1957, what makes them truly valuable is how many are still available today in pristine condition. Most of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies you come across will likely be worn, damaged, or heavily circulated, meaning they won't be worth much more than their face value. But here's where it gets exciting. If you happen to find one that's been preserved in excellent condition, you're looking at a much more valuable coin than you might expect. One of the factors that play a huge role in determining the value of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is its grade. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from poor to mint state. A coin in mint state is one that has hardly been circulated and is in nearly perfect condition, with crisp details, no visible damage, and very few signs of wear. If you have a 1957 penny that looks almost as good as the day it was minted, then congratulations. You've got a potential gem on your hands, but what truly makes this coin stand out are the errors that can occur during the minting process. And when it comes to error coins, we're talking about some serious money. There are several minting errors that can make a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny worth far more than its face value. One of the most sought-after errors in this series is the double die obverse. This happens when the die used to stamp the image of Lincoln on the coin shifts slightly during the minting process, causing the details to be imprinted twice. This results in a doubled image, and the most noticeable areas where this can be seen are on the words Liberty and the year 1957. If you come across a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with this error, especially if it's in high-grade condition, you could be looking at a coin worth thousands of dollars. These coins are highly desirable among collectors, and they frequently show up at auction for top prices. And remember, the higher the condition, the more valuable it becomes, but that's not all. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is struck off-center, causing part of the design to be cut off or misaligned. Off-center strikes are particularly intriguing because they give the coin a unique appearance that you won't find in regular pennies. Coins with this error are often sold at a premium price because of their distinctive look and rarity. Another interesting error that could affect the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a repunched mint mark. This occurs when the mint mark on the coin, for example, the D or S mint mark indicating where the coin was produced, is stamped more than once, resulting in a faint second mint mark near the original one. These repunched mint marks are another type of error coin that is highly sought after, and they add a significant amount of value to a penny that might otherwise be overlooked. Now that we've covered the errors and factors that can make this penny rare, let's talk about the general value of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. In the world of coin collecting, condition and rarity are the two most important factors that determine the price of a coin. While a typical 1957 penny might only fetch a few cents, if your coin is in near mint or uncirculated condition, it could be worth a lot more. In fact, a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with the right minting error and in excellent condition could be worth up to $54,700 in auction. Yes, you heard that correctly, $54,700 for a single penny. It's mind-boggling to think about, but it's true. Coin collectors are always on the lookout for rare and unique finds, and a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a minting error or in top condition is exactly the kind of coin that could turn into a collector's dream. So, if you've got a box of old pennies lying around or have recently inherited some, make sure you take a good look at your 1957 Lincoln Wheat Pennies. You could be holding onto a piece of history that might be worth far more than you realize. To wrap it up, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is more than just a penny, it's a key coin in the world of numismatics. Whether it's the condition, the minting errors, or simply its place in history, this penny has captured the attention of collectors worldwide. And with a price tag of $54,700, you can see why it's one that every coin enthusiast should keep an eye out for. Today, we're talking about a penny that's one of the true gems of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Now, you might be thinking, it's just a penny, what's so special about that? But hold on, because this coin has a fascinating backstory, and it could be worth far more than you'd imagine. In fact, if you're lucky enough to have one of these pennies in pristine condition or with a minting error, you could be sitting on a rare treasure that is worth a pretty penny, pun intended. Let's step back in time to 1958. The world was a different place, but this penny was a crucial part of daily life in the United States. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, which had been in circulation for nearly 50 years, was already a beloved piece of American history by this time. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, stared out from the obverse of the coin, his face forever immortalized in bronze, while the reverse showed the iconic wheat stalks. It was a classic design that collectors grew to love. Now, the 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny is interesting for a couple of reasons. First, it was the last year that the wheat design appeared on this penny. In 1959, the U.S. Mint introduced a new design featuring the Lincoln Memorial, marking the end of an era for the wheat penny. So, the 1958 penny is seen as a transitional piece in the world of U.S. coins, which makes it a fascinating subject for collectors. But what really makes this penny stand out in terms of value isn't just its historical significance, it's the rarity and condition that can make it worth so much. Like any coin, the key to its worth lies in its condition. Grading is everything in the world of coins, and a 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny in mint condition can demand a pretty hefty price. A coin's grade is determined by factors like its sharpness of detail, absence of wear, and overall appearance. Now, I know you're probably wondering, what makes a 1958 penny worth more than just a few cents? Well, the answer lies in the potential minting errors that can occur during production. When errors happen at the mint, these coins become much more desirable to collectors, which can drive their value up significantly. Let's talk about a few errors to look for in your 1958 Lincoln Wheat Pennies that could make them worth thousands. One of the most exciting and valuable errors you might find is the double die obverse. This happens when the die used to stamp the coin shifts slightly, causing the design to be imprinted twice, creating a doubled image. This is most noticeable on the words Liberty and the year 1958 on the obverse side of the coin. If you come across a 1958 penny with this error, you found a rarity that could bring you a significant profit. Another error you should keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is struck off-center, meaning that part of the design is missing, and the coin has an uneven, misaligned look. Off-center coins are highly collectible because they're so unique and different from typical coins. If you find a 1958 penny with this error in good condition, it could be worth much more than its face value. Collectors love these misstruck coins, and they're willing to pay top dollar for them. There's also the possibility of a repunched mint mark. Mint marks on coins, such as D for Denver or S for San Francisco, indicate where the coin was produced. A repunched mint mark happens when the mint mark is stamped multiple times, resulting in a faint second mint mark near the original one. If you spot a 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a repunched mint mark, especially if it's in excellent condition, you could be holding on to a rarity that could fetch a premium price at auction. Now, let's take a moment to talk about the general value of a 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny. Typically, a coin from this year in circulated condition isn't worth more than a few cents. But if you're lucky enough to have a 1958 penny in mint state or with an exciting error, you could be looking at a coin that's worth far more. When these error coins are sold, they often fetch thousands of dollars. In fact, the most valuable 1958 Lincoln Wheat Pennies, those in mint state or with significant errors, can sell for $55,000, written out as $55,000. Yes, that's right, this little penny could be worth a small fortune, especially if it has a rare minting flaw or is in pristine, uncirculated condition. It's truly mind-blowing to think that a 1958 penny, something that was once considered mere pocket change, could be worth so much. That's why it's so important to check your old coin collections for these rare finds. Who knows? You might just discover a hidden treasure that could change your life. So, the next time you come across a 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, take a moment to really look at it. Is it in great shape? Does it have any errors like a double die obverse or a repunched mint mark? If so, you may be holding on to a valuable piece of U.S. coin history. Remember, coin collecting is all about discovery and the thrill of finding something special. And with a 1958 Lincoln Wheat Penny, that discovery could be worth more than you ever imagined. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this coin exploration, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications so you never miss out on the world of rare coins. Happy hunting, and always keep your eyes peeled for those special pennies, because you never know what treasures they might hold.